We will now begin to look at Chapter 5, Session 5, ICTD Applications in Governance and Peace. Up to now, we have talked about how governments apply ICTD in different experiments in core sectors of development, that is the basic sectors, and also in sustainable development. But there is a link between these core sectors, sustainable development, and whatever we will discuss even now from now onwards, and that is the importance of looking at ICTD applications in governance in the first instance and peace in the second instance. There have been a number of studies, and I earlier told you that there was a definite relationship between ICTDs and economic growth. But there have also been a number of studies that have proven the correlation between governance and growth. In fact, the Millennium Development Report of 2005 and other reports that have come after that date have all pointed to how, if you have stable, well managed government with well managed public institutions, these are necessary for the improvement of living conditions of the poor and to combat poverty. This means a streamlining of government processes themselves. As we talked about much earlier in terms of the different services that government offered, and we talked about G to G, that is government to government and government to citizen, it is important that government institutions themselves run well. And in order for them to run well, ICTs are seen as enabling tools. We also discussed this in Chapter 2 of this primer. Overall, when we begin to look at what governance and government is all about, there is a great deal of confusion. Governance is generally the outcome. This is visible in a public space with a well-running system in place, while the formal structure and apparatus for administrating the system is government. Governance is the outcome visible in a smoothly and well-running system, while the actual structure and apparatus for administrating the system is government. I repeated this because it is important that we understand the difference. E-government then is the application of ICTs for providing services to citizens and for using ICTs to improve the linkages between government departments. E-governance is a broader term which encompasses a wider range of relationships between government and the citizenry. If you will recall, in the beginning of this section, I talked to you about the different stakeholders in the ICT4D space. E-governance is the space which looks at government to citizen relationships with interaction both ways. And it is done through the process of using ICTs to run the systems well, and that is e-government. Therefore, in a well-running system, we will find that there are a wide range of relationships, some of which we will be discussing during the next few slides. You may recall that we talked about two ways in which ICT can be used in development. The first of these we talked was a direct link, was a direct application, that is linking the beneficiary directly to the service. The second we talked about was an indirect link. I give you an example of the Mongolian Taxation Authority, where the Mongolian government has enabled citizens to pay their income tax online. Therefore, citizens of Mongolia, if they have access to ICTs and to internet, they can pay all their taxes online. It is a far simpler system than the manual processes. And this is an example of a running system from Central Asia. On the other hand, when we begin to look at the relationship in governance between government and citizens, the two major stakeholders, we come into an area where we talk about ICTs and citizen engagement and social accountability. E-government, the government to citizen engagement, is one of the most effective ways of combating corruption in a society. For instance, the use of ITs in elections, that is electronic voting, can dramatically change the results in elections as the extent of electoral corruption is curbed, is reduced to almost zero levels. Because it is not possible electronically, because you no longer have manual ballot papers that can be grabbed, changed, replaced. The second of the tools that are available in terms of both citizen engagement and social accountability is e-procurement, where the process of interaction between government and business, and consequently governments and citizens, has been known to have reduced corruption. Corruption being rampant in many countries, when ICTs are used to increase social accountability and responsiveness to citizens by curbing corruption, processes such as procurement, where corruption can be reduced, has an overall impact, and we will explain a little later why this takes place. Public access to information enables citizens to engage with issues, and when this is done online, it actually expedites the process of citizen participation because it is easier to use and easier in time. I show you one example of an initiative called Swagat in India, which is an online grievance redressal system. As you know, most government departments have a manual grievance redressal mechanism where anybody who has a complaint can come and lodge a complaint. However, in the manual system, response is slow, if at all it exists, and there is a lot of room for complaints not being redressed and for people not getting satisfaction. In the state of Gujarat in India, when the manual system was not working, the chief minister or the head of the state or of that particular province introduced the online platform for grievance redressal. The system is based on an information technology platform to speed up the information flow and to reduce the cost of service, as the manual system would involve transportation of files and physical facilities. To date, it is working well, and I recommend that you will read in the text in detail about this experiment, and you also go to the website to see how it is working. And this is one way in which government links directly. This is a direct intervention where government links directly with the citizens in a particular country. An example of e-procurement, which is in essence a management information system for government, in essence a better method of controlling corruption, in essence a streamlining of government processes between departments, is the e-procurement of the Philippines, currently one of the global best practices. In the Philippines, there is no longer any procurement, and procurement, by the way, constitutes nearly 30% of government expenditures. Expenditure of this great amounts, when done through an electronic system, invariably has the effect of being transparent, open, the costs come down, the savings increase, plus all the information is available to everyone online, and smaller businesses who can now compete with earlier larger cartels to provide services. So, the number of providers goes up, the amount of corruption goes down, the amount of savings goes up, and the amount of expenditure made by the government in procuring services also comes down, making it a very successful initiative. If there are instances in e-governance and in e-government, and there are many more cases all over the world, but all of them cannot be brought to your attention. Please do look at the text, because other cases are also listed there. Look for something that is listed there from your own country, because you may be able to find something that we have not been able to track and trace and bring to you in this primer. Another way in which we can look at the different kinds of ICTs is in peace. First of all, there can be no development without peace. And then we have to see if peace building activities can be used and can be supported by different types of ICTs. This is a new field that is emerging in the study of ICTD, or ICTs for development, but it is nonetheless very, very important, because it includes the different types of ICT activities that are carried out in conflict prevention and management, in peace operations, in humanitarian relief and disaster assistance. And by this disaster we mean man-made disasters, human disasters, and post-conflict peace building and reconstruction. Most important in all of these is access to and the sharing of information. In post-conflict reconstruction, ICTs can be used to disseminate the terms of a ceasefire agreement to warring factions and communities, and in the process clarify situation and build support, also killing rumors. ICTs can be used to raise awareness of war crimes tribunals or truth commissions, increase understanding of processes necessary to support the rule of law. There are 2 or 3 very well known examples in the realm of ICTs for peace. The first of these is Relief Web, which is the initiative supported by the United Nations Office for Humanitarian Affairs, or OCHA, and Relief Web monitors situations in various parts of the world and provides timely information, early warning, relief, rehabilitation, and critical system information that is necessary to coordinate between different agencies, all delivering the same kind of services. AlertNet is a private sector initiative by Reuters Foundation, which is a large news gathering agency. Using its resources, AlertNet also monitors or tracks different kinds of humanitarian crises in different parts of the world and brings this information to the providers who can, and to the organizations that are engaged in providing relief to different parts of the world in different crises. All of these are coordinated efforts, are efforts that require not just information but coordination. And these 2, Relief Web and AlertNet, one from the UN system and the other from a private foundation, are both very good examples of using ICTs for peace. Yet another very interesting example is Forgotten Diaries. Forgotten Diaries is actually blogs by young people who have been victims of conflicts and who now report their experiences and share not only on the internet, and as the experiences have grown, so too has international understanding. So when we begin to look at the applications in terms of ICTs in governance and peace, it is important to remember that because governments are charged with the primary responsibility of governance, there are many ways and many sectors other than those relating to basic services in which governments are engaged. Remember, I told you that the use of ICTs had moved away from just basic sectors to many ways in which they were being used, and I explained this in an earlier chapter. These include, but are not limited to, disasters, climate change, e-government, preservation of cultural heritage, and the promotion of peace. Governments try to reach out to citizens directly through portals to provide services. They also use technologies such as geographic information systems for weather and environment. As management information systems in project management, they have demonstrated time and again, ICTs have demonstrated time and again the efficiency to reduce corruption, improve service delivery, and ensure transparency and accountability of government services. Go to the national website of your country and see if all ministries have their portals. Select any one department of your choice and list the services provided by the department in terms of availability of the information that you were looking at, ease of use, interactivity, and its various features in the drop-down menus. Make an additional list of features that you would want to include. Make some more, another list of all the content and features you would include in a story about the richness of your country.